I feel like there is a hack to therapy. Okay, and it's gonna sound really weird, but I feel like the actual hack is that you are truly your own therapist. Does that sound crazy or what? I know. But see, I was thinking, I had been through psychologist after psychologist and psychiatrist and mobile therapists of course. I mean guidance counselors earlier in life, and a lot of mobile therapists. I had tried a hypnotherapist. Okay, so what it all came down to was I was thinking, did any of them ever actually help me, like at all in any aspect? And I realized, yeah, they helped me with like learning some coping mechanisms and breathing techniques and different ways of thinking, but they really never helped me. When I look at how I was then compared to how I am now, it had nothing to do with the therapist. You know why? It was me. And it was everything that I was choosing to think, the way that I was choosing to act, the way that I hated when people told me this before, but I really hated it. But now that I see how true it is, it's like this revelation that I feel like everybody needs to know. Yes, going to therapy helps. It can help tremendously. And it's great that you go and you talk things out, and it's very beneficial. It's very therapeutic. It really is. But when it comes to actually overcoming like the horrible anxiety and depression and suicidal thoughts and everything, it always sounds like I'm against therapy, and I swear to you I'm not against therapy. I am all for it and I think you should go. But that's besides the point here. I found that truly it is me who makes the ultimate decisions of how I'm gonna get through life, how I'm gonna get through the day, how I'm gonna choose to think, how I'm gonna choose to act. Now, where the medications come in is because sometimes we don't have the luxury of getting to actually choose our thoughts and our actions and our feelings and just everything, and that's where the medication can help and be beneficial because it balances out the chemical imbalance in your brain and your body and all that. And before, I wasn't against it before, but it just seemed like it just didn't work for me, and I was just so over it. I was done willing to try any other types of medications or like combinations until the recent thing. It was so traumatic that happened to me. I'm just not even getting into it right now because I'm not trying to get anxious. You probably saw it in other videos, but it was so like traumatic that I kept reliving it over and over. It was like I had PTSD over it, and I kept working myself up into these panic attacks multiple times a day to the point where I'm like, okay, like I could not tell, like, do I need to go to the hospital? Like, is something wrong? I don't know. And I don't want to talk about all that right now, but I decided to start taking medications again, and I've talked about this in other videos too, but that's where that can come in to help you, because like I said, for me, I realized that with all the therapies, all different types, it was ultimately me that got myself through. They helped me and it helped to talk things out, but ultimately it was me that got me through the suicidal thoughts really bad, because the most that a therapist ever said to me when I was finally completely honest about it, because I was always afraid to be honest. I was afraid that if I opened up about it and was honest, that I would get thrown into a mental institute, whatever. I was always afraid of that though, so it got to the point where it was like, I'm seriously gonna do it. Like, I was ready to just go through with it. So I told the therapist, and my parents were there. They weren't in the room at the time, and the therapist ended up bringing them in or whatever, and seriously, all she asked me was, well, how would you do it? And I will never forget that. Like, she just looked at me and she's like, well, how would you do it? Like, how would you go about it? And I'm like, excuse me, like, what do you mean? Like, and she's like, seriously, if you're contemplating it, how would you do it? It was like she was testing me. which is why I have an issue with not all therapists, but this particular one. I just felt that was a very inappropriate way of handling it, especially when she's the one who has the degree in psychology and everything, and don't even get me started there. So that's the most that a therapist has done, was asked me how I would do it, and told my parents to remove all of the objects from the household or hide it from me, from the idea that I had given of how I would do it. It's still hard to talk about because I think about it and it just puts me back there. Let's stay focused. Okay, so, but from how I was then to how I am now, though, I realize I am the one who got myself through. But like I said, of course it's beneficial to go and talk things out and learn coping techniques and breathing techniques, coping mechanisms, whatever you want to call them. Of course that's always helpful to do, and I'm for that, I really am. But ultimately it was me who chose to make the choice to keep fighting, and it's still every single day. Still I think the thought, still it's a choice to be here. I mean, of course you don't want to, like, I know that I have no control over when I actually die, but I make the decision, I make the choice, I make the conscious, I can never say the word whatever, I make the decision every single day to fight and keep going and moving forward from it. It's me. And even if I was still seeing a therapist now, it just, but I am back on new medications I'm trying now, and so far I don't know if I've noticed a difference or not, because I was given one for like immediate relief because it was so bad. The other one is supposed to take a couple weeks. I think it might have been a week so far, so I can't say how I feel yet about it, but like so far I don't want to jinx it. I haven't had a panic attack since, I don't want to jinx it. But that aspect of it is because I'm trying to realize that it's not a matter of depending on medication, it's not a matter of any of that, it's just a matter of balancing out literally the chemical imbalance that's going on in my brain and my body. So I'm hoping that it'll maybe make me a little bit more normal as far as the anxiety goes. But with the depression and the suicidal thoughts and everything, like I said, my therapy hack is you are your own therapist. And that goes with being your own friend too, because I know I have people who are there for me, whatever. If something happens, oh, you can message me. Okay, yeah, I have that. But I really don't have any like true actual friends. I really don't. So yeah, I'm my own friend, and I used to think that was a problem. Guess what? It's not. Because I've taken that time to just learn more about myself, learn what I actually like and what I actually dislike about life, and just like hobbies, things to do, because everything always got pushed to the side for whatever everybody else wanted to do. It usually involved going out, getting drunk, and then getting ditched when the friends would go off with guys. That's what it was. I'm not about that. So there are perks to being your own friend too. But that goes to being your own therapist. Like, I used to feel like I had to have validation from someone else. I'm still working on that. I shouldn't say I used to, because I still do, but searching for validation from other people to tell me like, it's okay to let this go, it's okay to not think about this, it's okay to take a mental day. Sometimes it does feel like I need someone else to like confirm that for me and reassure me in that sense, but I'm working on it to tell myself it's okay. Take your time with this. Like, just like with the medication, I'm learning to tell myself and talk myself through, like, it's okay, just keep taking it, it's gonna work eventually, and then I'm gonna see this huge difference, and I can't wait. Actually, it's crazy how I've changed my mind so quickly, just from it was like I used to get the panic attacks so bad, and then they stopped, and I would get a panic attack once every maybe, I don't know, like maybe once or twice a month, sometimes not even that much anymore. It had been like years ago was when I was getting the really bad panic attacks constantly. So then when that stopped, I'm like, okay, well, I don't need medication. Like, I'm fine on my own now. I know coping mechanisms, I know breathing techniques, I know, all that. But it took this last traumatic experience that I was like, okay, I can't handle this on my own now. Like, I recognized that, I understood that, and I'm willing to work with the meds now. So I'm hoping that this makes a huge difference, and I hope I don't sound like a hypocrite. But at the same time, we're just trying more stuff here that I'm talking you through because I'm trying to relate to everyone. And I'm sure I will by the end of everything here, because I don't think we'll ever get to an end. There's so much I've been through that but yeah, that's my therapist hack maybe, is that you truly are your own therapist. You don't even realize it, but like, you have that capability. You don't need a degree, you don't need some kind of certificate or whatever it is. You don't need psychology 101. I took that. Listen, I took psychology 101 and I was judging every word I was reading. I'm like, who wrote this? Because clearly they never had anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts. Clearly. But you don't need all that. You don't need a degree or anything. You just need your mind. And I think journaling helps and everything too, but I can get more into detail about all that. But seriously, you can be your own therapist too. I still recommend going to see one. I'm not discouraging it. Let me say that again. But I realized that's the hack. I was my own therapist. I got myself through those suicidal thoughts. And yeah, of course, it helps to have a support system. I know not everyone has one, but it is you who's making that ultimate choice, that ultimate decision. At the end of the day, well, really at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, you are choosing to keep fighting. Not a therapist, but you. Not a friend, but you. Not a family member, but you. It's you. Are you noticing a pattern? I almost passed out from that. I said all that way too fast. Seriously, that's my hack. My therapist hack is that you are your own therapist, essentially. You are the one who is going to get yourself through this, because no matter what a therapist says to you, it can go in one ear and out the other. That's usually how it was for me, because it always felt like it was a hypocrite sitting across from me. I clearly had the wrong therapist. There's something that is in my hair, and if it was there the whole time, then sorry, because that's gonna bother you. Problem solved. But like I said, no matter what, you're the one that has to ultimately decide. So that's my hack. My therapist hack, really, is that you are your own therapist, essentially, who's deciding to keep fighting every single day. At the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, it's you that decides. You don't need anyone else, just you. You got this.